This is the Talk is Cheap podcast. It's episode 10, and we have made it halfway through the NFL season. Today, we'll be re-ranking each division in football and talking winners and losers from the trade deadline. Speaking of losers from the trade deadline, Ty Montgomery literally got traded for
a six-pack of Busch Light.
I'm your host, Justin Hayes, and with me is Skyler, the Colonel Krowetsky.
Is that because I like fried chicken?
Man, I think we all like fried chicken here.
Yeah, I think we all like fried chicken, just like the Raiders like getting fried on Thursday Night Football.
Dang, man. Shots are fired. Let's get into this re-ranking of the NFL. Last time we took a little while to do it. Let's pump on through these divisions.
I think that was like our longest podcast, so.
Yeah, speaking of the Raiders, let's go right into the AFC West. So, starting from bottom, how you got that going?
I got the Raiders at the 1-7. I think they're probably going to have the first pick in the draft. So that I got them at last place. I don't really know if there's much to talk about.
Worst team in football.
I would put them as I'd put them as the Cleveland Browns of football.
They're going to that is a great comparison. I love it. So Raiders at 4. Who's your 3?
I got Denver coming in at 3-5. They were big sellers in the deadline. You know, they traded Demaryius Thomas to the Texans. Another team we're going to talk about in this ranking.
Definitely.
And then I got the Chargers at 2 and the Chiefs at 1. But with the Chargers, I think they could be 1 in this situation, as we were telling. I think this was the most talented division in football. But, you know, they had a clear-cut last-place team. But I like the Chargers. I love Melvin Gordon. And isn't Phillip Rivers having, like, one of the best passer ratings of his career?
His passer rating this season is actually through the roof. I mean, it's his highest he's ever seen. And they're really playing a nice calculated game, you know, this season is really nice.
Yeah, they're winning by running the football.
Exactly.
And you have maybe a Hall of Fame quarterback, maybe, and he's gonna at least be able to throw the football around. It's like he can pick it up whenever he wants.
Well, usually the load's on his shoulder, and this way they're not letting him shoot himself in the foot as many times.
Yeah, I think that was his downfall. You know, interception, shoot myself in the foot. And then with the Kansas City Chiefs, I don't think there's much to talk about on my end from that. I mean, they're just a talented roster, and they have an offensive-minded head coach and a heck of an arm quarterback. So.
Yeah. Well, you know, and like you said, the 1 and 2, they could possibly flip-flop with Chargers. I have the Chargers number 1 just because I think they're a good team. And
throughout the season, yeah.
They're built to win those close playoff games, man. They're not necessarily the shootout team that the Chiefs are. But if you look at their last 5 games, both teams are 4-1, so they're both kind of on the same kind of heat right now.
Yeah, well, hey, don't forget, though, that the Chargers are going to get Joey Bosa back. And they're doing this without Joey Bosa.
It's going to be huge. All right. So let's go to the South, man.
I got the Colts at 2 here.
The Colts at 2.
Yeah, I'm going by the bottom, of the division. I'm going to start with
because currently they've got the lowest record of the division.
I got the Colts coming in at 2.
All right, and then what do you got? How do you have them going up through and progressing through this division?
I think Andrew Luck's increasingly getting better as the season goes on. He's shaking off that rust,
getting warmed up,
and I think he's probably the most talented quarterback in this division.
Easily, man.
And quarterback plays where it's at. So.
Right. I would agree with you. However, the roster's not as talented as the rest of them. I mean, he's the best quarterback in the division, but you've got the Jaguars roster, the Texans with some solid receivers now.
Yeah, solid receivers.
Adding Demaryius Thomas, that's a huge win for them.
Yeah, put him right beside DeAndre Hopkins. Have fun guarding that, dude.
And maybe that helps Deshaun Watson maybe take that throne of being the best quarterback in that division.
Yeah, I mean, he's got all the intangibles, but I just don't see it yet. I think they still need offensive line help, just like the Colts. Yeah. But they're clear cut, probably
number
the best.
2.
Yeah.
Who's 3 and 4, if I can ask?
I got the Jaguars at 3 because they were sellers at the deadline. Mm-hmm. I watched them play the Eagles in London, and even though everybody tears our defense apart, they still kind of failed to score on us. Once we started getting hot. Yeah. They failed to score. They're really missing
a quarterback, really. They're a passing game. Yeah, I would I've got the Jaguars maybe bouncing back a little bit, but it's really just a top-heavy for me. I think the Texans are going to win the most games in this division. The rest of the three at the bottom, you could kind of shake them up and roll them like a set of dice.
Wherever they fall, because like most of these teams probably won't make the playoffs except for
whoever wins the division. I think with Deshaun Watson getting some more targets, I think they win this division, man.
Yeah, we kind of even skipped over, the Tennessee Titans. There's really not much to talk about.
Yeah.
I think Marcus Mariota, I think that 15 or 16 draft class, that might be a bust.
Man.
Mariota's not looking really hot, and neither is Jameis Winston, and we'll get to that. But Tennessee Titans are probably going to be picking in the top 10 this year.
Yeah, well, it's some mediocre teams, but the Titans have that lower quality roster, but they've got a few lucky wins this season. That's what it seems like. So let's go up to the North, AFC North. That's the Browns division, and
I don't know. I don't even know if we can call it the Browns division.
Right.
I mean, they play there.
Play there.
But I got them coming in at fourth. I think they shoot themselves in the foot too much. They have a coaching, actually their entire offensive staff, excerpt, your offensive line coach and stuff like that.
Yeah.
They're all gone. So I think this is a Browns team that's struggling to find an identity, and I think throughout the rest of the year that's going to be the case. And
so that's a valid description of them.
I
think I've got them at 4. I think they could have ended up maybe somewhere like the 3 or 2 had they won a few of them close games. I mean, you look at it, most of their losses were not blowouts.
Within 6 points.
Yeah, they went to overtime 4 times this season, right?
Yeah, 4 times. That's a winnable game to me.
Exactly. So you were in the you were in the game, but 2-5-1. I don't think you're going to recover and go anywhere up. They sold their coaches, so they're working on getting a clean locker room there. And
I want to put that out there. I don't like Greg Williams as a defensive coordinator.
You said that.
So I can only imagine what it's going to be like as him as a head coach.
Wow.
I think they got to get him out of there as fast as possible. And I also want to state that I don't think Lincoln Riley's coming out, but I do see them hiring a Chiefs offensive coordinator, the offensive coordinator from the Vikings, John DeFilippo, or somebody from the Rams staff. They have to get – the way the NFL's going, you have to get an offensive-minded head coach.
Yeah, I was just going to say, you're really heavy on the offensive-minded, bringing up an offensive coordinator type of head coach. And they got rid of Todd Haley, offensive coordinator previous for the Steelers, and obviously Hugh Jackson. So
then I got the Ravens next.
Got the Ravens next?
Yeah, I got them. They're at 4-4, so they're third in the division. But I have them propelling all the way up to second. I think the Joe Flacco thing, him winning a Super Bowl late season, hard-nosed football, kind of, that's just the Ravens, when I envision them. I think as the season gets colder, they get better. So I can see them slipping up because I don't think the Bengals, which are next up here, are gonna compete late on. I like
the odds of the Bengals holding that second place. So I've got them still at 2. And Steelers, man, they've come through and over the last 5 games, they're 4-1, man. They look like kind of like the Steelers we're used to seeing. James Conner had a great game.
I think James Conner having a great game just makes Le'Veon Bell mad that he's, sitting at home in Miami riding a jet ski. I think it hurt him. I think it just proved that I think it hurt Todd Haley. I think it hurt a bunch of people that the Steelers can find offensive success with anybody. They just need Big Ben and Antonio Brown.
Does that say anything about Mike Tomlin? Or does it say more about Antonio Brown and Big Ben? Because Big Ben's having a quietly really awesome season. You watch him; he's winning these games for him.
Yeah, I don't think it says much about Mike Tomlin. I've always been a fan. He always rallies his team, but he never can control his team. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It's a player's team.
It's player controlled. You're right. I was just going to say the same thing.
So I think it's Big Ben and Antonio Brown just, being good.
Yeah. All right.
So I think that covers the AFC North for me. Do you have anything that you would like to talk about on the AFC North?
Bengals, that's the only dispute. I think they've got enough offensive weapons with Joe Mixon back. They could be a very talented team. Their record is similar to the Steelers, but I don't think that they're going to – the Steelers are hot right now.
Yeah, I don't think the talent plus the hotness level, I don't think they match the Steelers. They don't even have the pedigree. Like, Mike Tomlin knows this is a playoff game in, late November when it's cold, kind of snowy out. The Bengals aren't used to that, and they play a flashy style of
They
football.
suck in the playoffs, man.
They play a flashy style of football, and that's not how you win playoff games. The Steelers, may look flashy, but if you look behind them, they play tough.
Yeah. All right, moving to the last division in the AFC.
Yeah, what you mean is the AFC East, the easiest division in football?
I think you could say that easily.
That's so funny. But starting with it, moving on a little bit, I have the Bills at 4, man. I mean, they look bad.
That's where they're at, man. I think the quarterback pick was a bust. I think we all saw that a mile away.
I don't know, dude. Nathan Peterman looks like he could be the GOAT. I mean, maybe Tom Brady. I don't know.
Right. And then
Tom Brady of interceptions.
There's another rookie quarterback in this division. Where you got them?
I got them sitting at 3rd, the Jets, Jets, Jets.
Sam Darnold at 3rd, and then who's your number 2?
I got the Miami Dolphins, man, Ryan Tannehill and that gang down there.
Yeah, we're moving through this division real quick because there's really only one competitor in here, and that's the New England Patriots.
Probably the greatest dynasty in football ever.
Possibly, at least of our recent times.
Yeah, I can't think of another team that was successful.
So speaking of that dynasty, man, you talk all these teams that are great in this season, and you've got the Chiefs, the Chargers, and all in the NFC. Man, I've got a bold prediction to make right here, right now. I think the Patriots are title bound. Like we talked about a few episodes back, I think Tom Brady's leading them to a Super Bowl this year. And I think it's going to hinge a lot on this Green Bay game this week. I want to see it.
Yeah, I'm excited. I think that's my game to watch this year. Or this week is the Green Bay
12v12.
Yeah, 12v12, Battle of the Goats, right?
Yep.
I mean, this argument sparked up.
Yeah, actually, what do you make of the argument that they're making? Tom Brady actually gave Aaron Rodgers the credit of being way more talented.
That's the thing,
media.
Is that Aaron Rodgers has always been more talented.
Yep.
I like Chris Carter, I think, said this. He said that Aaron Rodgers got gifted the greatest arm God has ever gave a quarterback.
Yeah, and don't dismiss the legs either, but that's his quote.
Yeah, and Tom Brady inherited maybe the best coach of all time. So it's hard to say. I think Aaron Rodgers is more talented than Tom Brady, but you can't argue 5 championships. I mean, and especially in the NFL, because it's not one player can make a team like the NBA.
How many times have people stuck up for Joe Montana, and his stats aren't even comparable to these guys when it comes to overall yards and
That's
everything.
why I don't want to put stats in comparison. This NFL is different. I mean, funny stat, Eli Manning's 4th in passing yards.
Boom.
So, and Eli Manning doesn't have anything. So,
I mean, besides 2 championships, but he's, as far as on this level
argument,
he's
not
in this conversation. He's not in the conversation.
So I don't like using the numbers. I think eye test shows you that Aaron Rodgers is more talented, but in the history books, Tom Brady's the GOAT, and I don't think it'll change for a very long time.
And him being accustomed in New England for the colder climate, that really sets him up big. But Aaron Rodgers is in Green Bay, which is just as cold. But they don't seem to make it as far in the playoffs. Yeah,
they don't seem to make it as far in the playoffs. I also want to state that that's, how I was talking about the Ravens and playing in cold weather and all that. When the Chiefs, if the Chiefs would have came to town when it was cold out, I think the Chiefs will get the first round bye and home field in the playoffs. But if the Chiefs would have came to town in New England, let's say, I don't know, in December 14th or something like that, right? Late in December, mid-December. I think this would have been a different ball game, and I think that the Patriots probably would have just blown them out.
Yeah. I think you're right. It
was a shootout, but I think the Patriots would have just blown them out if it was in December. So that's how I kind of feel about this division, is that the Patriots are clearly head and shoulders above everyone.
The kings of that division.
They own it, and I think they're maybe the kings of the AFC. I think you got Patriots, Steelers, and Chiefs, and those are your teams. I mean, you got the Chargers in there as well. I think those right there are the only teams from this that I could ever see going to the Super Bowl this year.
Yeah, man, that's really easy to agree on, man. let's take it somewhere, a different conference. Maybe we disagree a little bit more on.
Yeah, in the NFC, I think this is kind of where our hot buttons are, our triggers are for us. So starting with the NFC West, I mean, what's your feel on that?
Right now, I've currently got the Cardinals as one of the worst teams in football, man. I think they're looking at a top 3 pick somewhere with the Oakland Raiders and the New York Giants. They're looking to be, for me, one of the 3 lowest teams. So I've actually got them coming up in 4th in this division. 49ers not far ahead of them. But, obviously losing Jimmy Garoppolo hurts. And
C.J. Beathard.
All their running back struggles, man. It's, it's not the best team in the world. It's definitely one of the bottom 10 probably. But let's go up a notch and to a team that's really outperforming my expectations.
Yeah, I expected them to be this good. I'm not kind of throwing shade. I expected them to be this good, but they look better than I thought they would.
You're talking about Seattle Seahawks?
Yeah, the Seattle Seahawks. They looked a lot better than I'd expect.
What did you expect from them coming into the season? And
I expected like 6-10, 7-9.
Yeah.
I think they're going to go that. But I'm saying, like, just watching them play, that offensive line is an issue, but they're working around it. I think if for a team with a bad offensive line, you kind of got to look at the Seahawks and how they're playing to get around that. You got to throw quick passes, and you got to move your quarterback around.
Pete Carroll kind of has the game plan for that, man. Can't really knock him for it.
Yeah, no, I think he does a good job, and I think the Seahawks team will either bounce back next year or I think it's going to be the end of an era, but at least they're kind of keep competing and making their games fun to watch.
They've got a winning record, man.
Yeah, they have a winning record, but they play in the Los Angeles Rams division, which I don't think anyone's going to be winning for a long time. I think we can agree on that the Rams are just head and shoulders above everyone.
Yeah, at the beginning of the season, we really expected more out of the 49ers to compete with them, but when Jimmy Garoppolo goes down and you really see just how talented this Rams roster is, they're running away with it, man. 8-0, they're only undefeated team in the NFL, man.
Yeah, I don't think anybody can top these guys. I do think though, as soon as contracts come up, they got a lot of players that seem like they're going to demand the money. Yeah. Aaron Donald's holdout. They have Ndamukong Suh. Marcus Peters is going to want to get really paid one of these times, and Keep Talib and Jared Goff and Todd Gurley. So.
A lot of guys there. How about their recently acquired Dante Fowler? Isn't he coming up on a contract this season?
Yeah, he's coming up on a contract too. He's on this rookie deal. He's going to get a contract. He's not playing like he's going to make a lot of money, but he's in store for at least a little bit of an upgrade.
So was that trade a win in your mind?
Yeah, when you only give up, some mid-round picks for him, what'd they give up?
A third and a
fifth, actually, a 25th.
Oh, it's a fifth. Yep.
Yeah.
Right.
Either way. When you only give up a mid-round pick for a player that can help you win a Super Bowl.
Yeah, wasn't he like a third overall pick or something?
Yeah, we were there at that draft. He wore them gold shoes with the spikes.
Man, he was looking crazy.
He looked like he was going to be the next great pass rusher. I'm just going to say so.
He's had a few issues though along the way, and he hasn't necessarily went well with their meshed well with the team.
With the defensive line. He kind of has some off the field issues and stuff like that, but everybody does in Los Angeles. So
yeah, and there's a lot of defensive ends around this league that do have off the field issues
because it's starting to turn into a diva position. Like how the NFL is structuring it, they want to rush the passer but don't hit him, and they want to throw touchdown passes. And really, that kind of creates if you have a good pass rusher, he's the star of your team, and you market it around him. So
yeah,
Dante Fowler's kind of already got that idea in his head, and he was that type of player when we saw him at the draft wearing the solid gold spike shoes. He wants to be there. I think LA is the place for him. I think he plays good here. This is my prediction. I think he plays good here, and I think that might be sadly what the Rams need. I don't want him to be good. Obviously, they play in my NFC, so I don't.
They're looking really good. Bold prediction though, I don't think they've got the experience to go deep in this playoffs, and they're coming from LA during cold seasons.
But they're going to get to play in LA. Remember that, because no one's going to go on a 6-game win streak. Let's say like the Bears, they win 6 straight, could put them at 10-3. And then the Rams lose 4 straight, and there's just no way that that's going to happen. The Rams
take a lot of moving pieces for them not to get the home field advantage. You're right there, man. But there's another team might get the home field advantage in the next division.
So we'll move up to them because I think we agree that they're probably the number one team.
Oh yeah, Rams are definitely. But that team that would get home field advantage, to your point, they play in a dome anyways.
So yeah, that's what I mean.
Exactly.
So in that division, which is the NFC South, the Buccaneers are last place to me. I mean, I kind of want to dive into these guys a little bit. Like,
go for it. Jameis Winston, worst quarterback in the league?
I don't think he's the worst quarterback in the league, but I think he's a bust.
He's not even a starter.
Yeah, he's not even a starter. I mean, Fitzmagic, he's back, baby.
He's back, baby. That's actually got me super excited to watch the game. Sorry to cut you off.
No,
there.
yeah, I mean, he made this Buccaneers offense fun to watch. I think the things that Fitzmagic did are what makes Jameis Winston bad.
Yeah.
Does that make
any
sense?
I mean, yeah, he throws just as many interceptions, or maybe not as many, but
he takes the chances. He throws
a lot of touchdowns.
You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Michael Scott.
Right. Actually, that's a Wayne Gretzky quote, but I love the Office references. I love them. Yeah, but the Buccaneers are actually something fun to watch.
Yeah, they're fun to watch when Fitzmagic plays, so I think, only in that value does this help the team. I think the Buccaneers might be in the quarterback market. We were saying how every team seems to have their quarterback. Remember when I made that Raiders trade and the whole Derek Carr thing?
Yeah.
It's starting to turn out a couple teams might be needing quarterbacks.
There's a few teams around this league, and finally hitting week 8, we see them. You've got a starting quarterback that's benched yet again. When you're talking Jameis Winston.
So moving on to a team that we know has a quarterback, but we can't really figure on what's going on.
Yeah, what's stopping them?
The Atlanta Falcons, for me, I have them at number 3. Where do you have them?
Man, I'm rooting for the Buccaneers to be number 3, to be honest with you. They're at the same record as the Falcons right now. I just want to see some Fitzmagic, man. I just want to see a nice magic show. But really, yeah, Falcons, they've got the roster. They've got the roster to win games at least.
Can we talk about that Julio Jones decline? Like, even though he's putting up numbers, he's not getting touchdowns still.
These touchdowns, where are they?
Yeah, where's the touchdowns? He should have dressed up as Waldo for Halloween. Like, where's my touchdowns? Like, I don't know what's going on. I couldn't really address it. I mean, it's hard to see. Matt Ryan's playing all right, so I couldn't tell you. But who's playing, like, really good, like, sneaky good in this division? That's not the obvious leader. The Carolina Panthers, man, they're sitting at 5-2.
You got
Cam Newton's playing one of the best he's playing
seasons
of
ever
his
had.
career. Yeah.
Yeah, he looks consistent. It's taken him, like, how many years? 8 years now?
Yeah, 8 years. He's like 29 years old, and he finally just found he can throw the ball without running.
Yeah, wow.
It's weird. I don't know how he figured that out, but he did it, and his team came back from a 17-point deficit and beat my team 2 weeks ago. So I think they're a good team this year, and I can see them being a hard playoff out. I think they're a first-round exit type of team, but I think they're going to be, it's going to take a lot out of whoever has to face them, and then they're going to lose the following week.
The thing is, this team is built around playmakers. Obviously their quarterback's a playmaker, but then their running back's a playmaker.
Christian McCaffrey. And
their wide receivers are playmakers. DJ Moore had a great game. Yeah, they're all playmakers. So it could be a very cold team some weeks.
Yeah, because you're relying on those playmakers to make, obviously, plays. Like, it's not just, like, scheme to where they're going to do good.
Yeah, but to give them the credit, they're on a roll. I mean, they're doing well. So they might be a wild card team coming through this NFC, man.
Well, they got a lot of division games to play, too. So they still have a chance to dethrone the Saints. Let's not say that there's not a chance. That they still got 2 games against the Saints. So,
but we had this conversation earlier this season. They've got Drew Brees in their division, and we talked about it. Man, he could possibly be the he's in that conversation.
I think he's in the conversation with Tom Brady more
Rodgers.
than Aaron Rodgers is. I think Drew Brees is more in the conversation.
Yeah.
And people forget it because he's a 6-foot quarterback from Purdue. So
amen to that.
So I think that's really all we got to say is that the Saints can either slash or smash you. They got Mark Ingram, smash you in the middle.
Hey.
They got Alvin Kamara. And don't forget about Michael Thomas from The Ohio State University catching passes out there. So they got a little state of Ohio down there in that trade they picked up with Eli Apple. Now they have Thomas, Apple, Von Bell, and Marshawn Lattimore.
Yeah, well, let's let's make sure people don't know it's not an Ohio State podcast here. But you know what else is crazy? This team taking off week 1, they're undefeated. I mean, they're on a 6-game win streak.
They're just as impressive as the Rams, to me.
They really are. But they're not getting the publicity that you see the Rams getting. And
That's the same thing that the Eagles got when they went on their runs. Everyone was talking about the Rams. Everyone was talking about the Saints, the Vikings. Nobody talked about the Eagles, and then they came out and smashed everybody in the mouth. And I think that's what's going to happen with the Saints team. I think they're everyone's sleeping on them. They get that little chip on their shoulder and they ride it through the playoffs.
Oh yeah.
And the playoffs are going to run through the Big Easy, which, when you're in a dome, I don't know how much, I don't know the statistics on how well, the home field advantage is, but it's easier to play at home than it is on the road, and everyone can account for that.
With your fans, man, anything. And
Anything's
those Saints
possible.
fans are crazy too.
Yeah.
So I've got a bold prediction for this team too. This is my NFC Super Bowl prediction. I think it's going to be Patriots, Saints in the Super Bowl. You got a battle of Hall of Fame quarterbacks. It's going to be a fun one to watch. In my head, the way I've got it dreamt out and imagined out, it's going to be great. Rooting for Drew Brees this year, man.
Yeah, I'm rooting for Drew Brees too, but I ain't rooting for the team. I'll tell you that. But moving on to the NFC North, man, I mean.
Where you got Bears Beats and Battlestar Galactica.
Exactly, man. I love that reference.
All right, so I've got the Lions at number 4. Man, they sold. Did they sell or did they buy?
Yeah, I can't tell
Actually,
if they're winners or losers in this trade. Okay, so you sell Golden Tate. This is later. And then before you sell Golden Tate, you buy Damon Harrison. Snacks.
Yeah, on a contract year.
I don't understand.
What are you going to get out of that?
And you already have 2 defensive tackles, and your defensive line's okay.
And you're sitting at 4th in the division, and it's a very tight division, is what I mean to say. There's not a very big disparity between number 1 and 4.
Yeah, even the 4th place team, the Lions, are only one game back from the 1st place team, the Bears.
Yeah, but basically, at the same point, is there's so many teams in it, and you're in it with some of the best teams of the past 5 years.
Yeah.
You're in it with the Packers, Vikings, and Bears, man. I mean, this is going to be up in the air, but at the same time,
this kind of what it breaks down to me. You got rid of Matt Stafford's favorite target because you love Kenny Galladay. He's a good player, but you buy Snacks Harrison, and that was a total Matt Patricia move. He's like, you know what? Forget the offensive side of the ball. That's not my job. I'm just going to focus on the defensive side of the ball, which does win championships, but you can't buy and sell at the same time and expect to win. So
yeah, I don't know why you're buying at all then.
I think, though, the Lions could sneak up to 3 because of the next team we're going to talk about. I think the Lions could sneak up to 3, and I'm thinking.
Who's this next team that you say could fall to 4?
Them cheeseheads, man. Them Packers.
Green Bay.
What are you doing, Green Bay? I don't understand. I mean, I get the Ty Montgomery for a pack of Busch Light. I just don't get the Clinton Dix trade to the Redskins. Now, that might just be because I don't want the Redskins to get better, but I don't see how that helps the football team now and later. I don't understand.
They're kind of hanging Aaron Rodgers out to dry like they've done his whole career, man.
They just take advantage of the fact that they have Aaron Rodgers, and it doesn't matter.
One of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. He wins games on his own. Why give him help? It's the excuse everybody makes for him, but why, man? Why don't you just take advantage of what you got and go for a Super Bowl run?
You could have so many Super Bowl runs if they would have just kept their talent. I mean, is, I think, the 2nd best graded safety by Pro Football Focus. Why did he go for a 4th-round pick? Take out the contract year. Why did he go for a 4th-round pick? Because you didn't try to ask for more. You didn't feel the market. You just decided, I didn't want to pay for this player next year. Let's just see what we can get out of him.
Yeah, when you're within contention for your division, like we mentioned, all these teams are.
He's a Pro Bowler.
Yeah, so why are you selling this year?
Yeah, I don't understand it. This is the trade that makes no sense to me, because the Packers aren't a free agency team. They home grow their guys, right?
Yeah.
Haha's a homegrown guy. They drafted him from Alabama, and they made him learn behind Charles Woodson. What more could you ask for? He has. Yeah. I don't get it.
These NFL teams, they think that they're going to draft that 4th-round guy. They're going to draft that Russell Wilson, or they think that they've got the luck to get good players at those mid-round picks when, you know, there's a large percentage of those guys that don't make it to starting caliber.
And again, it doesn't matter because they have Aaron Rodgers, remember? It doesn't matter to them because they have Aaron Rodgers. And it frustrates me. So and they're a likable franchise, you know, until they do stuff like this since they've had Aaron Rodgers. So moving on, because I don't want to hate on them too much. Moving on to the Vikings, they are the second place in the division, and that's
how you got them.
And I have them second place in my division. They're 4-3, and I just don't. I think the Bears are a better roster, so that's why I got the Bears at 1. I don't have much to say about the Vikings. Dalvin Cook's injury prone. I mean, that was his problem in college. The talent's there.
This is what you expected out of Kirk Cousins. You know, he's not an elite quarterback, but he's a good quarterback.
I put him on the same level as Matt Stafford. I think he's more accurate than Matt Stafford, but has less of an arm. Same player. They make the same mistakes. They do the same things.
And then the Bears. The Bears.
Yeah, I got them at 4. They're at 4-3. I got them at 1, though. I think this Bears team is probably up there with the Rams as the most talented. I mean, we can look across the board. They have a star at every level. Like their safety, they got Adrian Amos. Corner, they got a Fuller brother. And at linebacker, they got Roquan Smith.
I love that linebacker. I love that draft pick.
Yeah, he's turning out to be exactly what the Bears wanted. And then, of course, how could we forget Khalil Mack? And then on the other side of Khalil Mack, because, you know, they run that 3-4, they got that Hakeem Nicks guy. Oh, solid 3-4 DN. And then on the offensive side of the ball, they got a pretty solid offensive line. They got Trubisky, who's playing out of his mind. He uses his legs more than I would like. Yeah. But that's kind of how their offense is struck up.
Get him some confidence, man.
He's playing that Alex Smith role because the coach is the offensive coordinator from the Chiefs when they had Alex Smith. So, and then on the wide receiver side of the, you know, they have Allen Robinson and Taylor Gabriel.
Which Allen Robinson is having one of the best seasons of his career, and so is Tyler Gabriel.
Yeah, Taylor Gabriel. Yeah, he's doing great. And then they got Tariq Cohen, the human joystick, and then they got Jordan Howard. And let's not forget the Philly special king, Trey Burton.
Man.
So I think there's a star at every position here. I think the Bears are made to play cold weather football. Even though they're flashy, they can pound it right in your face. And I like their offensive structure, and I love their defensive structure. This is probably one of the best teams, you know, for a while.
Yeah. I really like their team. Like you mentioned, their whole roster's good. I don't trust the quarterback play, though. I don't trust him to make it down the stretch. That's kind of the one thing when you're working with a young quarterback who hasn't proved himself in those shootout type of games. But you're looking at an NFL that's so based on pass yardage this year, and you know, other teams, man, they're scoring big numbers, and they're not focused on defense as much as these guys are. You know, we love our defensive teams. We love teams with good defensive lineups, but really, when you look at it, the winning teams are the ones who can really pass the football.
Yeah, they can just throw it around because, I mean, the thing to beat a good defense is you trick them. And it's easier to trick a defense than it is to just outplay them. So,
yeah, and with the new rules, too, you've got the referees protecting the quarterbacks to
all the
wide
offense.
receivers.
Yeah, all the like. Remember that thing where you're not allowed to lead with your head, but how come no running back has ever been penalized for it?
Yeah.
So,
you know, I actually watched something heading into the season. They made that on the offense too. A point of emphasis was that even running backs cannot make that hit with the head, and I
haven't seen one call.
I've yet to see it called.
So that it's an offensive game now, but that's my thing that's the point I'm trying to make is the Bears got it both. So whatever game you want to make it, because remember, offense isn't going to play well in cold weather, and I'm pretty sure Chicago's cold. Mm-hmm. So I don't think they're going to get home field advantage, but they'll get at least one home playoff game, I think.
Yeah, if they win their division and they'll face a wild card team that's gonna have to come to cold Chicago.
Yeah, windy, cold Chicago, and Khalil Mack's punching your left tackle in the face. I don't
point.
like that combo. It doesn't sound good to me for the team visiting.
But in the playoffs, can you see Mitch Trubisky taking down the Rams and their, I think, better roster? I mean, minus Khalil Mack, I think they're more talented. Or can you even imagine them beating Drew Brees and the Saints?
I could only imagine them beating Drew Brees and the Saints. The Rams would be impossible. The Saints seem penetrable. the Saints seem like they play down to their competition. Yes, they've won, but remember, they didn't put that much on the Browns. They clearly played down to their competition. So that's kind of how I feel. So, and,
I don't know, though, man. They've crushed everybody besides the Browns, and besides the one game they lost, they're really killing people this season.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm just high on the Bears because, like you said, they have that defense, and I love defense. And Khalil Mack's turned into probably one of the best pass rushers we've seen.
And like I said, man, I'm on that Saints train. I'm heading down to Mardi Gras.
You're gonna get your Morton Anderson jersey and head down there, huh?
Right. Well, that sums it up for the NFC North.
Yeah, that kind of sums it up for me in the NFC North as well. I don't have much, and we can move on to our favorite division.
It's so strange that this is the last division left. This is just kind of how our paper was laid out, and this is how we're going to end. We're in the NFC East, man, and where the Giants still suck, which is great.
But I didn't predict that. You might have predicted. I didn't predict
You're right. I had them at number 3 with a decent record. They're actually number 4 with a terrible record.
I predicted them to make the playoffs.
Yeah,
so
I thought they were going to be tied with the Browns as the most improved team this season, and they really just suck.
It's offense. It's completely offensive play calling and offense. You can't blame OBJ. You can't blame Sterling Shepard. You can't blame Saquon Barkley, and you can't blame the defense entirely.
Saquon Barkley's great.
Yeah, he's running away with offensive rookie of the year, and it's not even close.
Man, but they're 1-7 right now, and they're
Justin Herbert. Here we come.
Right, and I think the offensive lineman they signed this year, it's
Nate Solder.
Yeah, Nate Solder's not playing at any level of what they expected him.
He's playing like a stopgap left tackle. He's playing like you put a backup in because he's hurt and you give him help. He's not playing like I think he's a $90 million man. He's not playing
worth it.
Not worth it. And I thought he would be. I thought that's what made this Giants team good is they finally got offensive line help.
And this is where it's going to get interesting is another left tackle that usually I'm extremely fond of who gets paid a lot. I've got the Dallas Cowboys at number 3, man.
That's where I got the Dallas Cowboys.
It hurts to say, but at the record of 3-4, man, and with 2 teams above you right now, and one of which have only lost 2 games, I think it's going to be really difficult for them to come back. I don't want to act like I'm selling on the Cowboys completely. I think they could finish 8-8 this year. I think that's possible.
I think that's where I say they're 7-9, 8-8 anyway. So.
But I'm starting to sell on this offensive line. That's what I can tell you I'm selling on. I don't see – I mentioned it last episode, and we haven't played a game this bye week, obviously, but maybe they get things together, and that's going to be what matters. But Tyron Smith doesn't look the same. We're missing Travis Frederick, and I'm going to say it till the end. That offensive line is the reason for our demise this season. I thought they could beat – I thought they could win this division. I thought they were going to have the best running team in football, and I thought everything was going to be okie dokie.
I drafted Zeke in my fantasy football like he would be the number 1 rusher.
Right, because they didn't have the receivers. They planned for the number 1 rushing football team. They have one of the best offensive lines ever assembled on paper, but they haven't really seemed to get on the same page. Since they got rid of, you can come up with the name before I can.
Ronald Leary or Doug Free.
Yeah, Doug Free was a retirement, man. I hated to see him go, but he was starting to get a little more unathletic. But you look at who they put in his place, Lyle Collins not stepping up to the plate much.
I expected him to be awesome, but my little peak, I want to even talk about
he's a better guard, man.
He's a guard. Why would you put one of the best guard prospects we've seen in a long time at tackle? It doesn't make any sense to me. Yeah. He's got short arms.
They thought he'd be able to be a big mauler on the right side and just
run
push
behind him.
People around, but he's showing that he doesn't have that level of technique, man,
or athleticism. You have if you look around the NFL, and your tackles are really the most athletic people on the team. I mean, you have the Bears; they have athletic tackles. The Redskins have athletic tackles.
Yeah, they got to be able to move these days.
So, with that being said, I don't think Lyle Collins is best suited there. So, and it was a weak tackle draft. So, really, you kind of just threw it together and relied on the 3 stars to be the 3 stars. So,
yeah, and when only 2 stars show up to play, and then one is banged up, it's a little rough. But we got something to talk about, and the way that you kind of resolve not having the offensive line play that you wanted, get some open receivers.
Yeah, get some open receivers or make their defense at least respect the fact that you can throw the football.
Exactly. I'm actually a huge fan of the Amari Cooper trade. It sounds like I'm down in the Cowboys a lot right now, but man, besides for what you're going to eventually have to pay this guy, this is a great trade, in my opinion. You gave up what you had to get him. He's a better receiver than whoever's in this draft. And he's only 24, man, the same age as Calvin Ridley, right?
Yeah.
So he's still a young gun. You got 25 more games to see what he can prove. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. It's a bust first-round pick. It sucks, but you gotta figure out what Dak is.
Yeah, you gotta figure. But if that's the fact, if we're using the excuse, you have to figure out what Dak is. Why didn't they try to trade a 4th-round pick for any of these other receivers or 3rd-round pick? If we're just figuring out what Dak is, I think it's more than that. I think the Cowboys wanted to get back to throwing the football around and having their 3 stars, their quarterback, their wide receiver, and their running backs, which is fine. That's what you spend a 1st-round pick on, is your stars. So I like the trade as well, but I don't like the excuse that like a lot of Cowboys fans are throwing out, or like news stations.
I think if you're trading for a 1-year rental, you better be second in your division. You better have a winning record. I think this is more of a longevity type of move, man. I don't think Demaryius Thomas is going to be that much better spending a 1st-round pick or a 4th-round pick on him when you could just re-sign Dez for a year. I mean, I would much rather not give up the pick and maybe the potential depth that you add. You see the Cowboys are struggling with depth. Their one guy goes down, and next thing you know, you're running thin. I think they want those later round picks because, mind you, Will McClay is a genius in the draft. He does a very good job at picking his players. He gets 4th-round guys who fill holes all the time.
At least,
like I said, though, not everybody's a genius. Not every 4th-round pick is Russell Wilson or the next guy, who's a stud. You're looking at more of a, we need a star at receiver to act as a 6th offensive lineman, pull more guys out the box.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. I'm not hating on the 1st-round pick. I don't like the whole see what Dak's made of. I think Jerry Jones made up his mind. Dak's your quarterback, and I just think the level that Dak plays will decide how cheap or how expensive that you get him. So that's how I personally feel, and I see that. That's kind of my bold prediction. Dak's
you also got to find out what Jason Garrett is.
I mean, I think Jason Garrett's there too. I think the one that's on the hot seat is your offensive coordinator now. I think Jason Garrett don't really get to call plays, and he's really kind of involved in the special teams and stuff like that.
Basically, just training camp, man.
So that's
and he claps. He cheers on the sideline. He claps.
That's exactly what Jerry wants. Why would he want a coach to challenge his decisions? I mean, it was a hard thing to have his son challenge him on the decisions. Can you believe somebody that's not in the family? Yeah. So I'm not hating on the Cowboys. Don't think that, or Cowboys Nation that's listening. I'm not hating on the Cowboys. I'm just kind of saying how I see this going to happen. My next team, though, is my team, the Philadelphia Eagles. I have them going to first. I think they're still winning this division.
You got Redskins slipping in too, then?
Yeah, I got they're the current leaders. That's why I didn't talk about them yet. We'll talk about the leaders in the division last. I have the Eagles winning this division because that Golden Tate trade solved almost everything that we had, except for our corners. Howie Roseman is a literal genius on what he does mid-season trades and free agent signings. He'll trade mid-round picks for players that basically won us the Super Bowl. Half of those players on defense won us the Super Bowl, and most of them were late-round picks. So I love this Golden Tate trade for a 3rd-round pick. It's not very comparable to Amari Cooper because he is a rental.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess if you think about
30-year-old rental.
Yeah, the 30-year-old thing don't bother me too much. I mean, he is old, but if he is a rental, I only need him for 1 season. I don't care how old he is.
You don't plan on re-signing him even?
There's no way he's gonna command too much money. He's gonna want a 3-year deal around $7 to $8 million.
Yeah, you guys got enough guys coming up.
We got enough guys, and we got to look for a corner.
Mm-hmm.
So, and Ronald Darby's up too. Now, everybody on this team, I do want to say, has taken a pay cut to play for the Eagles. I mean, Fletcher Cox just restructured his deal to get $6 more million on our cap.
Hey, would it be a stumping question to ask you what was last year's 3rd-round pick? If I asked you, because that's what you traded for just 1-year player. If
last year's third-round pick we didn't have, we traded for Ronald Darby. That was our third-round pick.
Okay, so
Ronald Darby was our third-round pick. So
okay.
I like what our GM does, with the mid-round pick. So, you know what? Give me Golden Tate, help our offense out because our offensive line's looking a little bad, can't run the football. They'll have to respect our outside passing game. So I just like the trade.
Yeah, I'm a Golden Tate guy. I like him. I think he's a great run after catch guy. He's an awesome receiver. He proves everybody wrong. He can do whatever you need him to do, and he's a weapon to head into the playoffs if the Eagles go there. Not saying that's far-fetched at all. I like everything about the trade for you guys except for the fact that it's you guys,
yeah.
the Eagles getting him, and it's also Golden Tate's on both of my fantasy teams, and he's going to get a lower amount of
he's gonna
touches, obviously.
He's not the focal point of the offense anymore.
So, but the pick or the trade that I really like this year, or
the steal of the trade of the
exactly.
trade deadline,
is HaHa Clinton-Dix for a 4th-round pick, man.
Yeah, we already talked about this. I can't believe it. How did the Redskins get the 1 and 2 ranked by Pro Football Focus safeties on this team? Like, I hate that they got them, and the Eagles needed some DB help. Why didn't they trade a 4th-round pick for him?
3rd. Do what the Cowboys do. Step up a notch.
Yeah, step up a notch. I'd have gave a 2nd for real if we could have worked out a sign and trade. I'd have gave him a 2nd. So I don't understand, but the Redskins clearly got better this trade deadline. They're already good. I was talking about that Alex Smith thing. Alex Smith's a real deal quarterback. I mean, the fact that he is 34 is like the only downside for him.
Yeah.
So I think that's really helping the Redskins right now, and he doesn't really turn the ball over.
So you said that your number 1 was the Eagles, and so this would be your number 2. I've got that flip-flop, man. I looked at the Redskins' upcoming schedule, and it looks like it's going to be easy for them. They really, I mean, besides for facing the Eagles twice and then I think the Cowboys one more time, it's going to be an easy road ahead for them. You're talking about the Jaguars who are struggling. You're talking about the Falcons who are struggling. It's a bunch of these teams that, other teams had to play when they're better, but now they're really getting rough.
How long is Adrian Peterson going to be this Adrian Peterson? Does he actually have a full 16-game season on him? Like, that's the thing that I kind of knock against the Redskins. They're relying on a player who's historically probably one of the best to ever touch the football. But he's 33 years old. He's not
at his position. That's unheard of.
Unheard of.
But it's unheard of to do it at 32. It's unheard of to do it at 31, really.
But he didn't do it at 31 or 32. He was awful. So I'm just saying that this season seems like a fluke to me. That's the only statement I'm trying to make is it seems like a fluke to me. And I think that the Eagles are already proven that they can win. I mean, Carson Wentz is hungry and Golden Tate is hungry. Hungry dogs run faster, man.
Talking about some hungry dogs, though, Trent Williams and this Redskins offensive line, man, they're paving the way for Adrian Peterson to have success at 33 years old.
Yeah, this offensive line is just awesome, man. They really invested in it, and it's paying dividends. And that's something that will translate. No. You can't fake offensive line play. It's either good or it's not. And theirs is truly good. And
it usually translates to the playoffs.
So, and then they got 2 hard-hitting safeties. I mean, I'm scared to face them, but I just trust the Eagles more. But, the Redskins got the talent. They got the lead on the division. They got the quarterback.
Yeah. And I'm not trying to act like I love the Redskins this much this year because I've typically been a very heavy downer on them. But with this division lead, 5-2, or having your bye week and everything, but you're heading into a lot of easy weeks ahead, minus division games. But even with the division games, they're always close games. So
it's going to be close.
Any team can win those. I see that lead too much for either the Cowboys or the Eagles to catch up to, man, and I think they're going to just sneak in the playoffs and probably lose first round.
Yeah, we didn't predict this to happen either. We said the Redskins would finish dead last, so they're proving us wrong.
Yeah, but it all starts with that offensive line. I really think they're just too strong, and I think Adrian Peterson likes running behind them, and I think it juices him up when he hits that second level that he makes moves. He looks like athletic Adrian Peterson.
Yeah, he does.
He doesn't look bad. He passes that eye test, man. But I could see it. I could see the Eagles taking number 1. I could see the Cowboys moving up, but it looks like all the odds are in favor of the Redskins, and that's really where I'm coming from. Is just
like it does.
If you're betting,
if I'm betting, it would be hard to try to convince you to bet on the Eagles to win this division. It'd be hard to try to tell you that the Cowboys would win this division. So the easy one is to say that the Redskins would win it.
Yeah.
Because it's the one that makes the most statistical sense.
Yeah,
they're already 2 games ahead. They're 1.5 games ahead. So either way, I think the Eagles will take this division. You think the Redskins will take this division. I got one final thought for you, something that we always do. I'm going to throw you a little curveball. I'm going to give you 3 tight ends. You tell me who you'd rather have to build a franchise around. Okay?
Okay.
I'll give you Gronk.
Mm-hmm.
I'll give you Travis Kelce. And my boy Zach Ertz.
It's a loaded question, I feel like. Gronk. Am I basing off of now or
right now? Yeah,
right now. I'm taking the Travis Kelce, man. He looks like the most talented and gifted one out of the group. Gronk's kind of starting to fall off, at least just statistic wise. He's inconsistent. Zach Ertz is a great possession receiver. I've told you on the side that I think, or possession tight end.
Yeah,
but
he plays more like a receiver though, so it makes sense.
He gets the ball. He gets in the place. He gets where he needs to be. But man, Travis Kelce, he's a wild man out there. I think he's most athletically gifted.
Yeah, I think it was Gronk who was most athletically gifted, but now it's obviously Travis Kelce. The injuries are starting to weigh on Gronk. You can tell the demise is soon. I mean, I think he's probably only got 2 years left in the NFL.
Yeah. You know, when you play a bruising style that he has always done, it starts wearing on you. Well, we're at the 50-minute mark, and I wanted to make it a little shorter, but we got into some juicy stuff in the NFC, and I enjoyed it, man. Thank you, everybody, for listening to our podcast. This has been The Talk is Cheap Radio. Make sure you check us out on Stitcher Radio, iTunes, Spotify.
And now
we're
YouTube.
All over. And now on YouTube,
we
right
are now
there.
on YouTube. So you can get us wherever you're at, whenever you want to, on anything that you want.
On anything, on any device. You got it. Thank you for listening.